Morning, everyone, and welcome to the December workshop for Pitchmasters, our pitch prep workshop, enabling founders to come and practice their pitch before facing investors to ensure that they are indeed investor ready. My name is Lisa Friedlander. I'm the CRO over here at Next and the co-founder of My Next Raise. I'm thrilled to be providing these workshops on a monthly basis to our community and beyond to make sure that you're indeed investor ready. I want to introduce my partner in crime, Miranda Williamson from SeedSpot, to come on, introduce herself and talk about SeedSpot. We are really have a lot of gratitude for SeedSpot and their partnership in Pitchmasters. Miranda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miranda Williamson. I'm the Director of Recruitment and Admissions over at SeedSpot. We work to support underrepresented entrepreneurs to get the training and resources that they need to succeed.
Thank you so much, Miranda. And welcome, Monica. I just see what you put in the chat. Fantastic. Really, really thrilled that you're here. Thank you for being here. All right, so we had 4 signed up, one last minute canceled this morning. We may have one joining, but we're gonna start off with Dan, with our first entrepreneur. We can be a little bit more lax on time. I already explained to Dan and Chris. Given that we're a smaller group, and then we'll open it up. Miranda and I will give feedback, and then Monica and Valentina, please, if you have any feedback for entrepreneurs, it's also great to hear from fellow entrepreneurs as well. So we want to give as much possible feedback to Dan and Chris as we possibly can within the next hour. So Dan, whenever you're ready, I'll turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Can you see my screen?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay, excellent.
You're good to go.
Well, thanks everybody for this opportunity. I'm excited to talk to everyone about Balanced Work, an AI native employee engagement marketplace. Let's get started. Let's start my timer. So, work today. I think we all understand this. Communicating is easy, but collaborating is actually kind of complicated. Like there's a whole new set of questions that confront people in a modern workplace. Where should we meet? Given our policies and workflows, when should we be meeting? Should be in person or remote? If anybody can dial into the meeting, who should be invited? What exactly should we talk about? And then, at a broader level, how do we make these decisions? Can we explain why we're asking our team to come in the office on Wednesday? Can we explain why to the whole company we're bringing everybody back in? It's really complicated. And we realized about foundation of balanced work today, teams don't have data to help them plan collaboration. We transform calendar and org data into actual insights that help teams collaborate effectively. Our technology transforms frustrating interactions into productive human experiences. So today, live with customers, we're spending more time connecting, collaborating, less time coordinating. We go hour by hour through our customers' calendars and their org chart and just surface a set of issues about a week's worth of meetings. Are things we think the wrong location? Our meetings outside of standard working hours, where meetings dropped on the calendar without enough notice, interrupting everybody's workflows, and we provide a rationale generated by AI to say, here's the why behind this recommendation. Our customers are saying things like, balanced work helped us make better use of our office time. What we're building are balanced one-on-ones, help people recommend connections, fill those gaps in the network that have emerged because of hybrid work, and provide the context from AI to make every human interaction more human and more valuable. Since August, we've been learning about customers, gathering data, and establishing a path to scale. We've got a couple of different partners that we're working with from the earliest stages to some that are significantly larger, and one we're excited about is under contract. What we've learned, we started with the question of location, where to meet. We see it's really about optimizing time together and optimizing collaboration, and even quantifying the benefits of that, thinking about the existing survey data, the motivation data that's collected, but it's hard to actually act on that. And with our largest partners, we're thinking about connecting our leading indicators on the calendar side, the recommendations, to those big, weighty measures that everyone cares about, like churn, like employee engagement. And so we see, though, through these engagements, a real path to scale through some large partners in the real estate space who have a real interest in making sure people are collaborating well when they come together. But so where are we going? Professional services firms spend thousands already on events and parking and food, training, facilitation, all these different things. The implications of our data, which we'll gather across different enterprise platforms, is that managers can create unforgettable experiences with a click. So we go from change the location to the meeting to these people should be coming together to just chat and connect one-on-one. That's today. Tomorrow, it's a bigger idea. Marketing should have a team meeting. All of our data, we know where people are, what they want to be talking about, who they should be connecting with, allows us to surface proposals for turnkey experiences at a click. So we're building a marketplace on top of our data, but we call it an intelligent marketplace. And the benefits of this are that it gets better the more people are participating on either side. And we go beyond SaaS from a pay per month to a transaction fees. People get value out of what they purchase on Balanced Work. Employee engagement firms are low margin businesses already, then they're ripe for replacement with AI native services. There's a ton of money going towards engagement in general. There's these big companies that are managing the engagement programs, but they're not built on AI. And so our approach means that we're starting from the sort of small transactions to small connections, and will allow us to build up to coordinate some of the bigger dollar spends. And we think we have a pretty appealing model built on this to go from the current users we'll expect to have in Q1 to see about $250,000 in revenue for next year, and we're going to launch our marketplace to go from SaaS to pure marketplace spend. Our ask, which should have been the last question, is we're looking for $1.5 million pre-seed round to maximize the opportunity with our customers that we have and accelerate the vision, finalize our current product, release these the in-person moments driven by AI, and build a marketplace functionality, and that will launch in Q3. And that's what we got going on. Thanks so much. I would take any questions. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you so much. Well done. It's just about a little shy of 5 minutes, so great job. Miranda, do you want to stop sharing, Dan, and we can?
Oh yeah, I do want to do
This
that.
would be easier to
It's much
have
better to see
so
everybody.
we
Yeah.
can see everybody. Exactly. Miranda, you want to kick us off for some comments for Dan?
Okay, Dan, first comment is a minor thing, but you kept your slides in presenter view. And in this virtual setting, that allows us as the audience to see the top of your tab there, so we can see
Oh, like
like,
the
yeah,
URL. Oh,
yeah, such a minor thing, and it's frustrating to me that presenter view doesn't like it
how weird.
keeps that URL there, but I think I would keep my notes on a like separate page so that that presenter view could go away when you're in a virtual setting.
Okay. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
very minor. First off, some positive feedback. I liked the colors of your slide. You used like a consistent branding throughout, which I thought was helped me follow the flow. Where I lost the flow a bit is I think you used a lot of language that maybe is probably very common in your field and common with your
Mm,
product that so I missed a lot because I would
mm,
commonly be like, wait, what does that mean? Wait, what does that mean? So just think critically about your audience when you're using your choice of
mm-hmm,
acronyms and language to move throughout this. And I think I needed a bit of a story to understand your
mm,
product very early on. I think I know what you do, but I actually still not very sure. And I think it was the combination of not fully grasping everything you were saying
mm-hmm,
and it not being set up well in the beginning. So I think in the beginning, if you were to share like maybe a company you'd worked with in your prototype phase and the results they got, something for me to put some like more connective tissue to, so that there was like
mm.
I had an understanding as you went back through. I am not quite sure how you got to your ask. I think I needed to be led there a little bit more as well, like the 1.5
Mm-hmm.
million. For me, it seemed a little bit of a lot of bit of a stretch to get there from where you're at now. Um, yeah, so that's my feedback. I'll pass it off to my colleague Lisa.
Thanks, Miranda. Yeah, Dan, I'm gonna double down on Miranda and maybe not be as nice, to be
Great.
honest. Yeah, I have no idea what you do, to be honest. Like, I just didn't get it. And I'm not in that space, I get
Mm-hmm.
obviously employee engagement. I certainly
Yep.
get the concept of having people
Mm.
collaborate better. Certainly get the concept of now AI is infiltrating literally every SaaS platform imaginable. But you can no longer just say AI and have people sort of really understand what that means.
Right.
Something you're doing something with calendars. So I thought, yeah. And then you brought in events and experiences and a marketplace. For me, I'm sorry to say,
Mm-hmm.
you completely lost me. Like, I just don't know what it is that you do. So I
Mm-hmm.
completely agree with Miranda, either a use case scenario. Okay, here's one company we've worked with. This is what they used to do. This is what we were able to do with them. This is this is the results that they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have pilots going on. I was confused whether you have 250K in revenue now or that's for next year. Like, I didn't understand what your
Yep.
current traction was. Completely agree 1.5, unless you're on a run rate of 250K, that seems like a stretch to me as well. And then for
Mm.
the slides themselves, I didn't love them. I thought many of them were very, very text heavy, visually not designed well. I couldn't read a lot of the various, and that's maybe my old eyes, but I couldn't read
Mm.
a lot of like slide 3, 4. I didn't understand slide 5 at all. Slide
Mm-hmm.
6, just a lot of words. And I am sure you've heard that when people are looking at your deck and trying to listen to you, it is human nature to try to go and read the slides, and that means I'm not listening to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what your slide is saying versus using your slide as a backup singer, if you
Mm-hmm.
will, versus as the main act. I want to be listening to you. You want your audience to be listening to you and using the slide as a visual kind of exclamation point on what you're saying. If you put too much on the slide, again, like you lose people. So I would spend some time going back and redesigning some of your slides, make them look a little bit more professional, a little bit more inviting, way less text heavy, and focusing on some core concepts in your story that you're telling. I didn't fully understand the problem to the extent of what companies are losing by this. Is this companies who are trying to say, come back to I mean, we hear that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Company X forcing people to come back to the office. Are you saying that's a good thing? That's a bad thing? Is this going to help companies make better decisions around that? You said a few times, and the testimonial was, I made my office time better. I don't really understand what that actually means. So I know that's a lot. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like we're kind of overloading on you a bit. So apologize about that, but that's the whole point of being here. So
No, no, no.
want to,
No apology necessary. I really appreciate the feedback. It's super helpful. And this is the first time I've ever pitched this. We've been doing a lot of work
oh,
on
okay, great. Well, that's
on the
perfect then.
yeah, this came together this morning. We've been doing a lot of work like
Okay,
in the business with customers and building, and kind of said, okay, how do we piece this together into sort of the biggest vision that we really want to build?
got it.
And to do that in 5 minutes is really challenging. So
Yes.
it's such a great push on all fronts. I really appreciate it, and don't definitely not too harsh at all. It's super vital. I
Awesome.
appreciate you taking the time to share. Thank you.
Yes. Well, that does make sense then. And believe me, you're going to have a million more iterations of this
Yeah,
deck by the time you're done.
yeah.
Folks in the audience, anybody want to chime in and give some feedback to Dan? Feel free to unmute and chime in.
I want to add one more comment while we wait for you all. On
Yeah.
one of your slides, you said communication is easy, collaboration is hard. And that I don't know what that threw me off quite a bit because communication is so hard for people. I was thinking about that the whole time I was looking at that slide. It's really communication is easy.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good point because I think of that as I'm like it's easy to send a text message or an email or make a call. To do it well is very hard, and that's the nuance that I need to capture a lot better. Get these things out of my in my head and make
Right.
them a little more clear without too much
Yeah.
text. But thanks for that. Thanks for saying that. That's
Yeah.
another, yeah, that's a great point.
Any feedback for Dan before we move on
I'll
to
give
Chris?
feedback.
Yeah, go ahead,
I came
Will.
into the call late, but I also was confused what your business model was and what you were selling. But I have no idea around what industry you're in really. So, I came in probably around your fifth slide, I believe.
Yep.
I did miss it. So, just that's the only advice I can give you so far.
Thanks. No, I appreciate that.
Thanks for chiming in, Will. Monica, it looks like you have some feedback.
I do, and just really quickly, I'm looking at this from the perspective of a consumer because I'm here observing, thinking about our own pitch in the future.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear to me as a customer how to engage with the product. Like I got the problem. I kind of felt like you spent a lot of time on problem definition, right? We spent a lot of time organizing, figuring out who's going to be at the meeting, so forth and so on. And we could get back that incredibly precious resource of time and save money by using your product. But I'm like, how do I get it? Who are the customers? How are they getting it? I didn't quite understand that. So I felt like from the consumer side, if I wanted to use your product, how do I engage with it? And if I were a potential investor, like who are the consumers and how are they benefiting from it? That would make me want to give you money. So that's my overall critique is tell me how to give you money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
it's a great point, Monica.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments for Dan? Well, Dan, we invite you to come back if you'd like. We have many people that come back and
Yeah.
have been with doing this multiple times. So let me know when you want to get on the calendar again and love to have you back.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, like I said, this thing kind of came together the past couple of days, and so we're really. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I got the email, and I was like, oh wow, this session's happening. Like, great. So I appreciate just the opportunity to
Awesome.
share and get the candid feedback. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I will stay on for a little while, but I didn't mean to pop off.
today. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chris, we're gonna turn it over to you whenever you're ready.
Thank you for that, Lisa. Getting everything queued up here, so bear with me a moment.
Yep, take your time.
Okay, let me confirm visual. Everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Awesome.
You're all set.
Well, Lisa and everyone, thank you so much for the opportunity to share today. I'm working on a problem that affects that gentleman second from left in the image. It's my Uncle Wally Bennett. He wrote a hit song in the 60s. It should have been worth over $1 million to him. He didn't understand copyrights. Result, no royalties, no generational wealth for my Uncle Wally. I've been working on this for 5 years as a social impact IP lawyer in the Washington, D.C. area. Early this year, we had some pre-seed funding and we launched a legal tech startup to take our learning and put it into software to share with other attorneys and people who want to address that same problem. On that journey, we also learned that solving my uncle's problem would address 4 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which deal with economic opportunity, innovation, inequalities, and partnerships. Specifically, the problem is one of structural barriers. People aren't aware of intellectual property. They can't get access to the resources. They can't afford it. And there's not a clear return on investment. It becomes a choke point, like a one-lane bridge that impairs innovation. Our solution design, IP Rights for All, raises awareness, is accessible in software, it's affordable, and it has the availability of a potential return on investment, turning that choke point into a potential superhighway of copyright and other innovation. The typical journey you would have would be one of the client on the retail side becoming aware of intellectual property through an attorney. That client might be represented like our actual client, Najwa Womack, a Southeast DC-based composting expert who is a client of a law practice and now is using our technology. Najwa has taken the journey from being made aware to pursuing a potential return on investment. We want to create millions of Najwas because intellectual property helped that gentleman in the upper right-hand corner. That's a law client who used intellectual property and execution to achieve a $40 million exit from their business with their partnership. The revenue model is fairly straightforward for the software. $25 a month subscription. There are success fees and firm fixed fees that are ranging from $1 to $300. And there's a success fee component, which is 5%, or it can be a fixed amount depending on the jurisdiction of the attorney that may be using the software. From a technology perspective, we use cloud computing to register the potential attorney or to create a registration for their end users. Artificial intelligence to match attorneys and end users with resources. Blockchain to help them protect their copyrights. And then Web3 to help them to monetize it and also for gamification. If you go to the website, t-i-l-group.com, you'll get an email that will introduce you to Tilly, our artificial intelligence consultant, who doesn't go to sleep. And there's there to help you get information on your intellectual property questions. You'll also get access to C3, our blockchain-based component, which will help you to protect your copyrights. From a market perspective, the total addressable market, we believe, is $40 billion. We're focused on copyrights, which is a $6 billion market opportunity, and we're hyper-focused on an $810 million beachhead marketplace. From a competitive perspective, there are many different options, ranging from do-it-yourself to working with larger firms. There are pros and cons of those. What we've done is used our design pattern to bring together awareness, access, affordability, availability of return on investment, and simplicity. One party for that law firm to work with, they want to use our software. One party for that end user, that creative and that entrepreneur to work with to leverage intellectual property. From an experience perspective, our team has expertise in having worked for venture capital-backed startups, artificial intelligence and blockchain, and law practice management. We have a small pre-seed investment from 1863 Ventures, and we have advisor expertise in technology, cybersecurity, and finance. From a traction perspective, since we launched this year, we've achieved a number of milestones, including graduating from the University of Maryland's Blockchain Accelerator with our minimum viable product, and we're now in the Smart City Works Actuator with a demo day scheduled for January 16th, and I invite every one of you to join us, please, and listen to what we share. From a financial perspective, we're looking at focused on copyrights, growing a revenue stream from $40,000 next year to a $16 million revenue stream. We believe our platform can support other forms of intellectual property, and those could be additional opportunities. We're seeking a $250,000 safe, and the funds will be invested in infrastructure and marketing. And we believe this positions us to make a significant financial impact for economic opportunity, as well as a return for our investors. You've taken a journey with us from one person who had a problem to helping us to build a platform that can help the world create opportunities in using copyrights and intellectual property rights. We actively ask you to help us. Join our team. Help us connect with funding, resources, community, and partnerships. And remember that a rising innovation tide lifts all boats. Thank you, and I'll take your questions.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate that. You're about 5.5 minutes, just FYI. Go ahead and, no, you're good. Just timed it just so you would know. Go ahead and stop sharing. We'll be able to see each other better, and I'll let Miranda kick off our feedback.
Okay.
Okay. So first off, I loved the story. I liked that you really helped us understand what the problem was. I guess where I got lost then is I didn't understand why the attorneys needed this product. So I lost that connection. I had the connection with the problem, but then it was like somehow it didn't continue on to understanding why this product was needed. And I also don't understand how this product works, just from a real practical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The next, a lot of your images were very distorted.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that a little distracting. They were like they were grainy, or they were like too small, or they were just distorted in some way. And there was a lot of tiny text throughout the slides that I really was confused about why it was there. So I found it quite a few slides hard to stay engaged with what you were saying, because I'm like, should I be reading this tiny text? Is this important?
Mm-hmm.
then when you got to the marketplace, I was like, okay, we're going to get somewhere. Like I was excited to hear more about that. And you went so fast. And like
Mhm.
that one was like, and I'm like, I think this is really important, but I don't know because we were just kind of glossing over that pretty quickly. And I think I'll leave my feedback there and let
Okay.
Lisa pick up.
Thanks, Miranda. Yeah, Chris, I'm agreeing with Miranda today as all 100% across the board. I love the intro. I did. I mean, it's so personal. The album cover, the connection that you have, it did. I mean, it resonated with, I can't imagine not resonating with everyone in terms of missed opportunities of copywriting sort of something. And then again, it kind of went downhill from there for me. I didn't understand the what. I didn't understand the how. I didn't
Okay.
understand the user. Are you replacing? Is it the attorney or is it the end user? Is it the writer or the author or whoever it is that is seeking a copyright? Is it a platform that democratizes access to copyright? Does LegalZoom have the ability to do that? Like, you lost me on sort of the how and the what. The UN goals piece I thought was really odd. You were just at the very introduction, and then so I would take that out, or maybe if you want to talk about it more towards the end, once I already understand what it is you're doing and how you're doing it, to sort of mention and say, oh, by the way, this also solves a so the social impact piece was confusing to me. I didn't understand enough of what you were doing and how it was specifically social impact. I get the idea of, okay, we're going to democratize the access to copyright. Right now, you can either hire a lawyer to do it. That typically costs X. You can go to LegalZoom or Stripe Atlas, whatever. That typically costs Y. And our platform is Z. And it's better and it's easier and it's, well, assuming that sort of that's what you're doing. And because we're democratizing access, there's a social impact we expect to see, but that's fine. But it was just super, super confusing to me. I didn't understand your traction, if you have some, how many, you mentioned one use case, but how many users do you have? How much did you raise from 1863 and what did it enable you to accomplish? And then what is your go-to-market strategy? Your business model, the monthly subscription fee made sense, but the success fee and that didn't really make sense. Does that mean once the copyright was approved, you would get another fee? So that was a little off. And then lastly, we were talking earlier before everybody joined about the tools on My Next Raise investor readiness platform, which I can fill everybody in at the end of what that is. But there is a pitch deck creator tool on the My Next Raise platform. I highly, highly recommend you redoing your pitch deck in total.
Okay.
Everything that I
Thank you.
doubled down on everything Miranda said, and it just didn't flow very well. It wasn't design. I mean, you're talking about copyright, which is in a lot of things like design. And it just, the images were blurry, text there was kind of all over the place. So take a look at the pitch deck creator tool. It also helps you set your brand. So you answer a few questions about who you are and what you're doing and what you want your brand to emanate. And then it gives you a bunch of different choices of what you want your pitch deck, sort of a framework for a pitch deck. It's a really powerful tool. So highly recommend sort of taking a look at that to help. Once you get the story better, then you can use that perhaps to get the deck itself a little bit more professional and a little bit more branded appropriately in terms of design and photos and versus text. So take a look at that. Love to open it up to the audience to see if anybody else has comments for Chris. Go ahead, Monica.
I popped a resource in the chat for you, Chris, but I think on the topic of the SDGs, I can see it, but while you were going through, the slides were hard on my old eyes, and it led me to kind of check out your website. And when I looked at the makeup of your team, you've got a culturally rich team. And I can look at those people and I can see the story that you're not telling. It's like, okay, all of us come from these backgrounds that represent thousands of years of creativity that have not been monetized. And on a global scale, we are saying that this is part of building generational wealth and economic opportunity. And it's not scaling down to the individual in these developing countries and in divested neighborhoods in the US. We've got a solution for this. And I felt like there was some reticence to just speak to the truth of the heritage there. And I think that's a missed opportunity because I'm from Louisiana, so I see a Creole Cajun boy, I see somebody from Nigeria, I see African-American, I see Latinidad. And each one of these communities struggles with access to protecting their intellectual property, which you started with in telling your uncle's story. And then you kind of put that down and tried to make this connection to the UN. And so I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted it as someone coming from one of those rich cultural heritage, because I could think of like friends and family members who missed the very opportunity that you're talking about. So I would just encourage you to not put that in the background and just open up and lead with the heart of it. And I think the other bits of it will fall into place if you just tear down that wall in between the story that I'm saying that I think I know is in your heart and in the background, and what's coming out in these decks and whatnot. So I just wanted to offer that up to you and tell you I got it. And if you had told me that story, I would take you around DC to some creative groups and some BIPOC community folks and say, like, listen, y'all need to get with this because you can't afford him or me as an attorney. Let's just keep it 100%. But you could probably afford to do it this way. Say that. That's it.
Monica, if that is the sort of mic drop moment of today's session, that was incredibly, incredibly important, and appreciate that comment and absolutely agree. Thank you for that. Really, really helpful. Any other feedback for Chris? And
I was
Chris,
just
yeah, go ahead, Dan.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, following exactly on that. I feel like over the years I've seen dozens of different people talk about their startups, and like your first story was, I'm trying to think of a better initial story to kind of kick off, like, here's the problem. Just incredibly, just powerful. It's powerful, it's interesting, it's memorable. And I just wanted to say that. Like, I was like, whoa, this is so important. And here's exactly why not only is it important, but why you are doing it, why you are the right founder. And that's, I don't know, you can't like fake that. So just hats off to that. And I just agree with what everyone else is.
Chris, I'd love to connect with you in regards to your company, just because my first startup is in the film and TV space, and we've tried to tackle this issue from some standpoint as we're a marketplace for content creators to showcase and then hopefully sell or license their content out to streaming channels. So I'd love to talk to you on that aspect. I would say that from a storyboard, the way your deck presented itself, I think that I definitely would love if you want to help to tackle some stuff on there, because I think that the process of sometimes looking at each other's decks as founders, it's like sometimes you don't see it because you're in the weeds, right? So I'd be more than happy to help you if you need any help also. So
that's awesome, Will. Thank you. Thank you. And look, maybe Chris, there's a B2B opportunity here too for sites like Will's that are sort of working with content creators on a regular basis. And as they're doing that, they have the ability to copyright and do that all in one platform.
Yeah,
so that would be an interesting.
I guess that also led me to, like, when you were pitching, why were your clients, right, the lawyers? That was confusing to me because I thought that this would be accessible as a plugin that you could plug into many different types of areas that need this, either the creators or the actual people servicing them from the legal side. Yeah.
Well, if I may, first of all, let me compliment everyone for the feedback because that was outstanding. we've been on this journey for a long time as a social impact law practice. So I actually have answers and ideas for everything you said. And I probably suffer from what I think Lisa can appreciate with starting next is I have so much knowledge. And it's like, how do I put this in a 4-minute or 5-minute format? But to address each comment, because I value it significantly, Miranda, I agree 110%. The packaging could be enhanced. So that's something we're working on. We'll have fixed between now and our demo day with SCW. Lisa, the audience that we have, it's a platform to help attorneys who want to serve this market. So we've had 25 different law students and early practitioners who are building their practice and say, hey, I can use this. So it's intended to help attorneys, but also their end users who want to use this tech. So we actually have a promotion going on now called Give the Gift of a Copyright to someone that's a creative or an entrepreneur in your life. And we had our first client get a copyright and a trademark for their son because they're in the media space, to go to Will's point. But it's intended to be made available to any ally that wants to serve that audience. And right now, we did a sample of our law practice. So what does that audience look like for the law practice? What we do is available to everyone, but it's 95% people of color, 60% women, 50% small business or startups, 25% creatives, and 25% in the social impact space. To pivot to Monica's point, this is such a tough balance we're dealing with. We're trying to present something that addresses all the audiences, but corrects a specific issue of suppression and barriers to intellectual property to people of color. So Monica, your exhortation is very much appreciated, and I'll continue to wrestle with this and how do we do this in the right way. And it's a software
Chris,
as a
can you
service
take
app.
the law firm out of it? Like, what's in it for, if I'm a lawyer,
Sure.
whatever, why not take the law firm out of it entirely so that the end user is the one, right? Isn't that part of the whole problem, is you got to go hire a lawyer to do this? Speaking as a lawyer, from the law firm, but I mean, that's the sort of the direction that a lot of this stuff is going in law firms. I guess the flip side is law firms have to figure out how to use technologies like yours to make their jobs and their costs come down and all that kind of stuff. But I think the excitement about it is perhaps bypassing the law firm, legal tech. There's a lot of great legal tech out there. We're paying attention to a lot of it, or as much of it as we possibly can. And those things are really important. But I feel like the heart and soul of what you're doing, based upon your story, based upon Monica's comments, based upon everything you've sort of been saying here, is that if there was a way to focus on the end user, the underrepresented, the stuff that when you started your story, what would that have meant to generational wealth to your family had your uncle been properly compensated, and to prevent individual content creators from making, those same mistakes? I don't know. That just is if we're going story by story and we're just comparing stories, that's a much more interesting and exciting and meaningful story than this is a platform for lawyers to help do their copyright.
Well, Lisa, that's so powerful. Let me do a share for the audience, because you shared with me on why we're currently taking this approach, and maybe we'll end up pivoting. But we did some research that was funded by the National Science Foundation with GW, an I-Corps program. We did, first tranche was focused just on general user population, and the second was focused on attorneys. What came back consistently was that there are roughly 3 segments of the core audience. One segment who wants to do it themselves, and that's a lot of Gen Zers. And so that was represented some of our interns. They only want help when they actually think they really need it. And I happen to have 3 adult kids, or 3 adults who exemplify that. So for them, being able to use the software is great. It would do exactly what you described. I don't need an attorney. I'll try to use it myself. There's another portion that wants a little help, but they don't want to pay an attorney and they don't want to do it themselves. So therefore, by offering it through allies, we help meet them where they are with someone they're trusting. And that party has the technology that can help them a little bit. And we also have access to consultants who can be a part of our ecosystem. Then there's a third group that they don't want to deal with it at all. They want to like have someone else do it, and they want a law firm. And so we tried to put in place a platform that meets all those audiences and brings them together in an ecosystem that uses AI, blockchain, and Web3 to
Right.
allow the right audience to connect with the right user.
So I get that, and I'll just leave you with the notion of you can't be all things to all people.
Exactly.
And as you move through your journey and
Mhm.
certain use cases really rise, or your heart or your soul, moves you in one direction, maybe you will stay and have, solutions for all of those use cases, but maybe one will rise. So just sort of keep an open mind. I feel like a lot of companies, when they try to be all things to all, you're not going to hit every user. So who do you want to be serving, or what group do you think will most, get the most benefit out of this? So yeah.
I'm gonna applaud that, and here's our preliminary answer was, we decided to build a platform that we think lets the audiences self-select how they use it. So
Right.
that's our starting point. We said we have the platform, now let's see who comes in and uses it, and then we can see how.
Yeah. At an early stage, right? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Any
Well-
final comments for Chris? It looks like we're going to give everybody about 15 or so minutes back in their day. All right. Well, thank you all for being here today. Huge thank you to Chris and Dan, who had to drop, for participating. We really appreciate you putting yourself out there. Hopefully the feedback was helpful. Like I said to Dan, please come back. Love to have you again. Miranda, huge shout out and thank you always. So appreciate your partnership, your compassion, and your positivity always. And Monica, Will, Valentina, and Delorum, thank you for participating. Look forward to seeing everybody. If you have not signed up for the My Next Raise beta, it's mynextraise.com. This is our new investor readiness platform with the code BETA, all caps, 2024. It is completely free for the year with a variety of investor readiness tools, including the pitch deck creator that I mentioned to Chris. So I invite everyone to check it out and sign up. It will not be free for very much longer. And of course, wishing everybody a happy and healthy and safe holiday season. And we will see you all back on I believe it's January 15th is our next Pitchmasters. So happy and healthy, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Take care now.
Bye.
Goodbye.